Congratulations on your Paris debut. So, Prannoy, if like we just looked upon your journey, so it's actually I would say it's very incredible and inspiring. So in 2010, you won your silver medal at the Youth Olympic Games, and in 2024, you're making your Olympic debut. So how has the journey been like?
I think the journey it's quite topsy-turvy, to be honest, because and I think you have to expect that kind of a journey when it comes to professional sports. And I think, say, 2010 Youth Olympics was one of those events for me which kind of gave um a lot of opportunities getting into my next stage of career. So I've always cherished those moments, especially the 2010 YOG, and uh, because that was my last year in juniors, and if I had not done anything great in that year, then it would have become really tough for me. And I think from there on, it was just kind of exploring how you are as a person, how you are as a player, and we had a lot of Olympic phases in between this. Unfortunately, couldn't qualify for last 2 3 editions. But then getting into the last few years, I think a lot of things went well for me, and I would say extremely lucky to be in this position right now, because if you had asked me this question 4 or 5 years back, seeing if I would qualify for an Olympics, I would have definitely said no at that point. But getting into a time where I've been the number one player from the country for the last 2.5 years, states the consistency out there from my side, and so I think really happy that eventually I could qualify for uh, the biggest event out there for any sports person. So yeah, so I think it's been a very fulfilling journey for me. A lot of things happened which I I never expected that it would happen in my playing career, and I think a lot of things got happened the last 14 years. So yeah, I would say extremely happy and grateful that all these things happened.
Absolutely. So when you mentioned about, the last 2 years in particular of your journey or the last 4, 5 years of your journey, uh, there's a like in 20 since 2022, you have given like a consistent performance. Like there is a you had like six quarterfinals and then two semifinals and a bronze medal at the BW championship. So each time when there was a set like that okay I cannot do this, or some like when athletes think that you cannot do this beyond a level, and you have done that probably in a very consistent manner. So how have you reinvented yourself over again?
Uh, I think when it comes to sports, I think this is a very honest opinion, which I have not opinion, but I think this is an honest thing where people love it when you're not performing well. I mean, that's a sad part of it, but a lot of people love it when you're not playing really well, or you're not performing well. A lot of people are forced to kind of come out there and criticize when things are not going well, but I think it's only the people around the sport understand how a sport works. It's never ever going in just one line. It's never going upwards trajectory all the time. You always have that lows coming in through some form of the other. It can be an injury. It can be something very personal. And sometimes it takes more time for you to come back to the place where you used to be. And so I think when it comes to an entire career of such a long years of 13 to 14 years, or say more than 15 16 years, the one thing which I understood straight from the start is that the days where you are going to feel the success, or where you the feeling of okay, you have done something big, is going to be very, very few days in your career, and we can just probably count it after sitting for probably or for playing for last 15 years. I can still count those days where I've been saying that, oh, okay, I've done extremely well, and but the days where you are not feeling well is almost the 70 or 80% of those days. So that's probably something which I learned when I kind of came to Hyderabad and kind of got into a system where I could see or I could play with, train with a lot of big names from the country, and to be probably 14th or 15th name in the men's singles department in a system kind of made me realize that okay, there is too much of work to be done to be getting into the top ladder, and to be named as the number one player from the country. It will take so many years, and so I realized that disappointments are just going to be there every single day. It's how well you're going to adapt that, how well you're going to come out of it every single day. It's not just probably once in a week or once in a month. Just every single day you might be disappointed that you're not able to cross somebody, or you're constantly comparing yourself with the other 14 players out there in the system. And but I think that's where I learned a lot, and I think that's what sport teaches you, where whenever things are not going well, what things to give importance
There's
on.
the part when you said, like, the longevity part of your career. And usually in badminton, it's so the case that once a player reaches around 30, they are considered to be off the shop. And with you, the case has been very different, like you said. And so now badminton as a sport, it's being so challenging and demanding. How are you coping up with such a sport which has reached up to like, where you have to perform your best level? So how are you coping up with the preparations and everything?
Well, I think it's a very individualistic question out there, because I think the answers might be very different for each and every player. But for me, I would say I never thought about the age side of it probably 2 3 years back. The one thing which was uh, annoying me was that I always felt that I didn't reach the full potential uh, of badminton which I could play over the years because of a lot of uh, a lot of reasons. So probably post 2019, that's where I thought I need to at least give it a try, where I'm at least trying to reach to my best potential, and then if it doesn't work, then I'm still okay. And probably I thought I haven't explored a lot of options till then, and I've been scared to try new things, and so it was very important for me to come out of that shell, and to start working a little differently, and to kind of not really care about what others think or tell, or uh, as I said, people are ready to pounce on you when you're not playing
Not
well,
to,
and
yeah.
so that's a part and parcel of it. Uh, and probably that made a difference, especially post 2019 2020, and especially post covid. I think that gave a confidence to me, saying that okay, now post covid everybody is back to zero. Now probably this is my chance, because um, nobody's judging you, because everybody is starting from scratch, and so I thought probably that's a chance which I have to kind of grab. And I think a lot of good things happened at that point, and the graph slowly started to climb up uh, uh, from 2021 end. So, and I think probably because of a lot of new things which I was ready to kind of do from a mental perspective, to try a lot of things on court, was very important at that stage of my career.
I mean, we hope that the graph goes up like and to the levels that you have not imagined probably. So, when you mentioned about the COVID period, so in your career, you've had like a lot of injuries, and there was COVID, and there was health concerns. You're still dealing with your gut issues and everything. So each time, like there are failures too, right? So as an athlete, there's a saying that that there very few endeavors in life are there that you experience failure as less as a sport. So as a sports person, you tend to go with all of this, and then to wheel back from such events is crucially hard for an athlete. So how did you develop this mental fortitude over the years to just ensure that you come out positively and probably still be better from the last time where you were?
No, I think a lot of times we think that the issues which we have is the biggest issues, right? Uh, I think we try to kind of convince ourselves saying that okay, this is the biggest issue to probably anyone would be facing right now. But unfortunately, it is not true. And if you look at from a very different side of it, I think there are a lot of other athletes who are struggling in a much different ways, and not just from an athlete perspective, but from a normal life perspective. Also, I've seen a lot of people struggling from a lot of other various issues, and so when you start comparing that with yourself, then you feel that this is nothing. And, there is a lot of good things which has happened to you, and still you tend to think that okay, this is the most uh, problematic phase of your career or those kind of things. But I think whenever those kind of phases came, I think the one thing which I was telling myself was there are a lot more people who are
So you just didn't stay in that phase and
in a much different
yeah,
phase of their career, and I'm in a much comfortable zone. Um, I'm able to take care of my parents. I'm able to take care of the the, the basic needs. I think sometimes you don't appreciate that. So when it comes from a sporting side of it, I think it's really important to kind of appreciate that whenever things are not going well. Yes, you always want to improve. That is always there in the picture. You always want to outperform everybody out there. You always want to be the number one player. But sometimes I think it's important to kind of come back to reality and think that is this issue the biggest issue, and if it is not, then then I think you still have the time and the energy to kind of try to figure that issue. And I think in sports it's all about confidence. uh, and I've always told myself that it just takes 5 days of good badminton to come back to the place where we have left off, and that one tournament can be any tournament, and if God willing, that might be something big. Then your life changes. So whatever happens in say 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, sometimes it doesn't matter. Probably a good 5 days of badminton will get back the entire
yeah,
2 years back to you. So I think that's very important to always keep reminding. Sometimes you keep forgetting. Sometimes I keep forgetting about that. I also keep forgetting. I also have gone into a bad state of mind, or you don't feel like going to the training thinking for what you're training. And I think these kind of thinking keeps coming when you're in circuit, but it's important to look it from this way as well, saying that everything can be taken care if you just play 5 days of good badminton. So yeah, so I think probably that kept me going, obviously, in the last good 6 to 7 years, and um, yeah.
that's nice. You had mentioned about Gopi sir. So, and honestly, he's one of the most disciplined athletes you would meet in India. And with you, it's always been the Gopi Bhaiya. And we have seen you celebrating on various occasions. So, how has your relationship evolved with him? So, can you just walk us through your bond with him?
I think well, for all of us, I think not just for me, but the batch which we all played together. I think he was the one who change the Indian badminton for for the good. And I think whatever results we are seeing in the last 1 decade, I think a lot of credit goes to him. The way he kind of changed the system, the way he kind of got uh, a place for everybody to train together, which was not there a decade back. All those things were from his side, and to kind of be a part of that elite batch was something which I would say I was very lucky enough to kind of be there in Hyderabad, to kind of reach Hyderabad at the correct time, and to be there even though things were not going really well in the first 4 5 years. I didn't take any drastic step to kind of try anything else. So I think that was something which I would always kind of think back and say that okay, um, I took the right decision and I stuck to it. And with Vaya, I think the relationship is obviously more than say maybe my parents, because uh, the last 15 years I've hardly met my parents for these many days, because maybe apart from COVID time, I think I've never spent too much of time with my parents. But apart from that, I think I've seen only him every single day of my career, and so that kind of a connect is always there. And he kind of understands me not as a player; he understands me as a person, and I think that is very important when it comes to sport. And I think when it comes to your later stages of your career, especially, I think uh, he understand how I think and how my mind works during the matches, which is very important to know. And probably somebody who is working, or probably a coach, if he comes right now into the system, might not understand that. He might take years to understand me as a person. So that is what me and Gopi sir has, that connect. And obviously, uh, I've always believed that he's been the one who has given so much for all the players out there. And so there has been moments where, and I think in Asian Games as well, um, where we thought that we were not in a position to win, but then eventually we could come back with a medal. I think all those moments were something big for him, because um, even he knows that probably that medal is not just the journey of probably 1 or 2 years of work, just the hard work for last good 14, 15 years. And I've seen him work hard, getting up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, and then training everybody from 4 to 7:30. I was there in that batch, so I understand how sport works through his lens. And the dedication which he has to the sport till date, I think it's something which is just extraordinary, and that's why he has been able to produce these many champions as well.
I mean, indeed, Gopi's contribution to is badminton is impeccable, I would say. You had mentioned about your parents and not meeting your parents. So, and we know that they have been your strongest support system. Your mother's been like the biggest cheerleader there. So, what was their reaction when you said you're going to make your Olympic debut? So, how did they react, or how did they celebrate?
So I was lucky enough to have my parents where they agreed, saying that you can go to Hyderabad and train for a couple of years and check how it is going. And if it doesn't work, then you can come back and study. I think this was the deal which we made. And luckily in the 2 years I had some decent results which came in. So they never nagged me in the fact saying that okay, I should come back to Kerala or kind of settle back to Kerala, and kind of gave the full freedom to kind of be in Hyderabad and pursue what I wanted to. So I think uh, I would say very very fortunate to have those kind of parents. And definitely regarding Olympics, I think for them as well, I think it's a dream for them to see me play in such a big stage. And they always wanted me to qualify for an Olympics.
You had mentioned about the support system and everything in a very recent your LinkedIn post. You said it takes a village to build an athlete, correct? And so, how does the support of foundation like Go Sports help an athlete in their journey, and how has the support helped you?
Well, I think GSF. I think I joined GSF 2000 post 2010.
11.
2011, yeah. So it's been
Hmm.
almost 13 to 14 years of journey with GoSports as well. Because if you look at the graph, I think GoSports has been there from starting to end. And from a player's perspective, I think this support comes in from a lot of areas, right? Back in the days, probably a decade back, where GoSports initially came. Um, we didn't have this kind of a system where there is a lot of support coming in from a lot of sponsors, or um, players had to spend their own money to go out there and play initial tournaments. And that's what I said. Post my junior time, I was thinking, how will I fund myself for the next 3 years or 4 years? I don't know how much time I'm going to take to crack the senior code. So that was a not so good time to be in, because you know that you can play at a good level, but then you don't know how to kind of figure out to be getting into the senior circuit as well. So I think that's where GSF came into uh, probably give that kind of a help. Initially, I think initially it was definitely to play tournaments, and probably post that I think the way things started to change was in a very different way. It was we never used to think about performance. It was always thinking about how do we play a tournament or how do we initially go to a tournament, and then later the science started to come in place much faster into sports, and there was a lot of things which as a player which we could try doing, eat a good food, uh, focus more on recovery side of it, and all those things, all those knowledge came probably when it was 2013, 2014, I would say, and still it was just the beginning phase of it, and I think that's where, from a foundation perspective, also a lot of changes started to come. We had people coming in to guide players on each and different things of the sport. Uh, and definitely from a 2015 2016, definitely it kind of picked up, the sport kind of picked up, the entire ecosystem got picked up, and I think GSF also got picked up from that entire evolution, and a lot of good people came in, um, uh, not just 5 or 10 players, but then it became 250, 30, 40, 50, and uh, see, from a player's perspective, whenever you know that you don't have to worry about anything, that gives a lot of time for you to kind of prepare for what you want to, and I think that's what uh, that that freedom is what we as players which we got in JSF, because we knew that if we had anything, then there is a team of people who will find us the right people for you. You don't have to worry about finding the right people for yourself. And I remember probably in the junior times, whenever you had some injury, then you were the only one out there. You are the lone warrior, and you had to go out there and find your own resources, and just hope that things are going to work well for you. But I think in the last 1 decade, the things which have changed is the player don't have to do that. The entire team is able to do that for you, is able to take that headache for you on finding the right person for you. I was very adamant on finding the right people for me, and I think GSF made it very clearly for me, saying that we will do that for you. So these are the things which kind of makes that huge difference in somebody's graph. It might be smaller things, but I think the smaller things is what makes it difference. And uh, so I think from a Prannoy's perspective, if I have to look back and say, a lot of things wouldn't have happened in my career if there was no GSF initially, because you have to appreciate the times which were tough, and if somebody would have helped you at that particular point, then you would have probably stopped playing it, right? I've seen a lot of players do that in their career where there was no help given to them at a particular point and they stopped playing. Probably I could have also been in that same bracket, but that's where a lot of things happened to me at the right time where GSF came in. And then there is a belief that, okay, if you play decently well, then there is a support coming in. And I think that gives a lot of eases off a lot of pressure from a player's perspective. You don't have to think anything else. So, yeah, so I would say, as much as my career graph has gone up and down, uh, the support has been very steady, and uh, I hope that things will just go really big in the next 1 decade of Indian sports, and we can have many more organizations like GSF coming in place.
Sure. I mean, we are glad to have you in our team since the thing, and probably you're one of the oldest athletes that we have been associated with GSF. And yes, we would like you to be there on top along with us. So yeah, thank you so much. So is there any particular win or moment which is very closer to your heart? Any moment if you have?
I think last year World Championship medal was something which was very exciting for me. Not emotional, but very exciting. Uh, But I think Asian Games was very emotional because getting into Asian Games, I was hardly in a position to play a match. I think without 10 days of any practice, I think I had to go out there and play a quarterfinal, and to kind of come back with a medal was something which I would cherish for a very very long time, because I didn't expect that coming in from any side. And, so I would say those two medals was very surprising. First of all, to kind of do that in a 1 month span was, I would say, gave a lot of happiness.
Okay. In one of your interviews, you had mentioned that you picked up the shirt opening from Sachi, like from Chirag. So, do we see you breaking into dance like how Satvik does anytime after you win?
No, not really. I think that's their cup of tea, I guess. They do it much better. And,
Uh,
but I think those two guys are somebody who I look forward to every single day, because they get in a lot of energy to the entire squad as such, and uh, probably a lot to learn from them too as well. So yeah.
all right. Just we'll transport you into Paris right now. So we know you are a foodie and you love like you still have gut health issues. So, is there any particular dish that you would like to try in France?
No, not yet. I don't think so.
Nothing on your mind?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there any particular event that you would like to watch in Paris, like of any other athlete?
Uh, I would want to watch athletics, because I've not watched top level athletics live. So really would want to go to an athletics event.
Okay, I'll think one last question and then we'll conclude this. So this time the slogan is games wide open. So is there one message to to the competitors or the athletes participating at the Olympics?
No, no, nothing to the people out there. But I think I think it's going to be a big occasion for a lot of athletes out there. I think a lot of them would be playing the first Olympics as well, like me. I think it's important to kind of enjoy this moment. Yes, there is going to be pressure, but I think it's that's what we all are trained for. And, so I think it's most important thing is to enjoy it as a sports player. It's probably once in a 4 year event which happens, and it's the biggest event in the world out there. So my only thing to all the athletes out there would be to just go out there, enjoy the tournament, and um, just try to give your best out there. I think nothing else matters, to be honest.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Prannoy, for giving us your time.